Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Closer Encounters. I am your host, Clarence Mitchell, coming to you live from somewhere, Minnesota. Would you like to be a guest on Closer Encounters? Or maybe you know someone that would like to be a guest on Closer Encounters. Or maybe you have a story to share. Well, please shoot us an email, closerencounters.info@gmail.com. Again, that's closerencounters.info@gmail.com. For everything Closer Encounters, updates, all things going on, check us out, www.facebook.com/Closer Encounters Radio. Again, www.facebook.com/Closer Encounters Radio. And please don't forget to like, follow, and share. Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Closer Encounters. Oh, yeah, it's been a few days since we've been on. A lot of things happening, a lot of weird stuff, crazy stuff, as you know. Boy, yeah, this coronavirus thing, just totally unbelievable stuff. Back and forth, I've been watching the news and stuff, and wanted to give you guys some updates and whatever on that. But it's just where do you start? It's just wow. Yeah. So I kind of backed off on it just a little bit because everybody pretty much knows what's happening now. It's freewheeling, so to speak. So there's really not a whole lot of new news to that, other than the conspiracy theories that seem to be running around. They're hitting hot and heavy, just crazy, crazy stuff. But yeah, they're still wanting people to stay at home and, do your thing and whatever. So, just be safe and, do what you can. It's the best thing we can do. So anyway, tomorrow, as everybody knows, which is Saturday, we're going to start our 2-day big event, and that's Contact with Closer Encounters. We got a number of really good guests to line up to be here, and we got some really cool people, really good stuff going to be happening. So I hope you guys join us. That starts at 9:00 Pacific Mountain Time, which will be 11 o'clock Central Time and 12 o'clock Eastern Time. and that's both Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be 8 hours each day, and yeah, I hope you guys join us. And it's going to be quite a deal. So please, if you're there, share it. Whatever, let people know. We will be making up a new poster sometime this evening. We'll throw it out there, and then a new ad, and we'll remind everybody, for tomorrow morning. So yeah, it's gonna be quite a deal. So pretty cool. Alrighty. Well, as far as tonight's show, some of you may have seen the post. It was a poll that I made about the Starlink system, and my big thing about it, I made a post and I commented on it how astrophotography and telescope watching may come to an end. And I asked if people agreed or disagreed because of the Starlink system that Elon Musk is putting up in space. Now, right now, he doesn't have a whole lot up there, but by the time this is all said and done, he wants right around 40,000 of these satellites running around the Earth. And a lot of folks have been upset about it, and this, that, and whatever. So I just thought I'd grab people's opinion. Now, a lot of people who probably are on the poll probably don't use telescopes. They probably don't do astrophotography and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that your opinion still won't matter, because what's going to happen is our nighttime viewing, regardless if you're just sitting out laying underneath the stars trying to catch a glimpse, all you're going to be doing is watching satellites run back and forth all the time. Maybe some people think it's okay. To me, it's just going to clutter up our space, and I think it's ridiculous. Uh, you know, but there's a lot more to this than a lot of people realize. He claims that when it first started out, it was just for internet. But I did a little deeper digging into it and stuff, and I came up with a couple of things I think is going to interest you. So just to let you know that there are more things going on here than just that. So, yeah, VJ says, why so many? Well, I'll show you exactly why so many here in just a moment. It's totally ridiculous, and that's what I'm saying. It just is crazy. So what I'm going to do is we got a couple videos now. What's happening is lately, especially in the news and different other YouTube videos and stuff like that, there's been a lot of folks that have been capturing what they think are UFOs and stuff and been posting them online. There's a lot of Facebook posts and stuff on these things. People claiming that they've seen these UFOs, and uh, so I wanted to show this one particular quick clip, and so you can see exactly what these look like. So if you ever see them at night, you'll know. So let me grab this here real quick for you. And this is taken over the UK. I have a couple of videos for you here tonight, so we'll do this. Now, this comes from an outfit that's called Movie Vertigo, yeah. And this is about 5.5 minute clip, but it's really awesome. So we'll share this with you and see what you think. if it stays running. Very understandable why people would think that this is UFOs and stuff. When you see this, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it is pretty crazy music, right? that was one of the videos that was taken over to UK. Pretty crazy. Now they've done like 3 or 4 rockets already in the past few months. But it's what's happening is people seeing these all around the world, and they're starting to run videos, and they're like, look at the UFOs, and people are just going crazy, not knowing what this actually is. So it's really something. I see Rob's with us. Hello, Rob. Jolene's with us. Christine, hello, Bella. How are you, dear? I see she come in. Brandon is with us. He says, Jeff Johnson, Clarence, your #1 show in Minnesota. Take care of yourself, my friend. Well, thank you very much for that. And we're trying to do our best. Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, quite an ordeal there. The way these people grab these videos, and stuff. They don't know what they are. Obviously, they look up and they see all these dots going across and different things like that. Pretty amazing, And if you didn't know what you're looking at, obviously, you definitely mistake them for UFOs. But tons and tons of videos being taken, But pretty crazy. So I have another video here. This gentleman here, I think he's out of Australia, and he has a lot to say about this ordeal. If I can get it to work here. And I don't know why that popped up like that, but so what I'll do is I'll share screen this if I can. Okay, this is Alan Wallace. He's Astro Workflow Lightroom, and he does a lot of astrophotography, different things like that. And he has a lot to say about this. So let me grab my share screen again here with the audio, and he'll show you a few things. And it's quite interesting what he's come up with. A very controversial ordeal with this SpaceX / Starlink thing here. So let me share my screen, and I'll bring it into widescreen. Now, if you notice, sometimes it's a little bit glitchy. I apologize for that, but as you know, YouTube and Facebook's having a hell of a time trying to keep up with everybody. So, but this is photographing controversial SpaceX Starlink satellites. So we'll take a listen to this. It's about roughly 15 minutes. So, kick back and enjoy and listen to what he has to say. Then we'll talk about it. And I got something else I'm going to bring up real quick.
Brecon Beacons in South Wales. This is my local playground for astrophotography. But tonight I'm going to be photographing something I've never photographed before, and that is the SpaceX Starlink satellites. So I'm going to try and get some shots, and then I'll let you guys know what I think about the whole situation. Whoa!
Okay, he's in South Wales. Sorry. That's where he's at.
that was a Gemini meteor. Anyway, I'm going to try and get some photographs of the satellites, and then I'll let you guys know what I think about the whole situation.
This guy's got a really good channel. If you ever want to watch him, he has some really good stuff. Awesome photographer.
So I'm using the app Heavens Above, which is a really good app to tell you about any satellite appearances in the night sky. It's telling me that at between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m., the train of SpaceX Starlink satellites should be passing over my location. It's about a week or two since they launched, so they're not quite as bunched together anymore. and they've probably gone into higher orbits now, so they're not shining as bright as they would have been in the first few days. But either way, it'd be interesting to see them because I haven't seen them yet, and I just want to see how it makes me feel because, as you know, it's a very controversial situation right now, which I'll talk more about later. But I've got a 55 mil. I'm going to try and get some shots on the 55 mil. Hopefully that allows me to see them sort of separated in the long exposure. I've also got 135 mil on standby to perhaps get some sort of more close-up images. And yeah, just going to see what happens. A couple of them actually went overhead a few minutes ago, and I was hoping to get a shot in the east as they sort of set in the east. I've got a really nice composition with Sugarloaf Mountain and the Brecon Beacons, but they were really bright when they were overhead. But they faded before they got anywhere near the horizon. So I'm not sure if the shot is going to work. And I'm not actually sure I care or not if the shot is going to work. Alright, so there's one going overhead right now. It's on its own. I'm just going to try and get it with the 135. Okay, I've got him on the 135. You can see how fast it's going. But it's on its own. I was kind of hoping to see like a train, you know, a big trail of them. There's still a few more to come. Just keeping an eye on the live map. There's another one. Oh, here we go. Now we got a bit of a trail going on. Whoa, it's 3 in a row. Whoa, that's weird. I'll try and get this on the 50 as well. Whoa, this is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, this is so weird. I'm gonna try and get my camera at an angle to get more of them in the frame. Whoa, it's just a big train of them in the sky. Just marching across to the horizon. My God, that's weird. I cannot imagine thousands of those in the sky at the same time. So I'm just watching I think it's the last one. Maybe there's some stray ones, I don't know, but they just didn't stop coming. It was crazy. I couldn't believe how long that went on for. And man, the thought of thousands of those being in the sky has now become even more terrifying than it already was. Oh man, if that's the future of the night sky, if there's going to be thousands of those things up there for the sake of internet, oh man, I feel sick. I literally feel sick. Okay, so my reaction might have been a little bit over the top there, but maybe it wasn't. Allow me to explain. Now, for those of you who don't know, Starlink is basically SpaceX's way of providing global internet. They're going to launch this huge constellation of satellites that are basically surrounding the entire globe, and you basically have broadband internet beamed to everywhere on the entire planet. It's their way of basically making a little bit of money, and they're going to use that money to fund their missions to Mars, which is pretty cool. So far, they've launched 120 satellites in 2 different launches, and the plan is to launch 60 satellites basically every 2 weeks throughout 2020. And if that happens, SpaceX will have over 1,000 satellites in orbit. And just to give you a bit of context, there are currently 5,000 satellites in total in orbit. So if all goes to plan, at the end of 2020, out of 6,000 satellites in space, over 1,000 of those will belong to SpaceX. Not only that, but there are other companies competing. You've also got companies like OneWeb that wants to have 700 satellites in orbit by the end of 2021. Jeff Bezos from Amazon has also shown an interest in launching his own internet satellite constellation. And Elon Musk has permission to launch about 12,000 satellites already. And
you hear that? He has permission to launch 12,000 satellites already. Now, there's only like 5,000 right now without his satellites that's orbiting Earth, okay? So think about that. All right, here we go.
And they've also applied for an extra 30,000. So if that goes ahead, SpaceX will have permission to launch 40,000 satellites, which is insane. So there's a bit of a competition between these companies, which is really driving a race to just launch satellites and get set up and be the first one to provide the service. And there's really not much regulation against satellites and things that you put in space. Now, there's a huge worry because there's already about 500,000 pieces of space debris. There's 500,000 pieces of junk that are currently being monitored by people on Earth that's just up there in orbit. So if there's any sort of consolation here, it's that the Starlink satellites have a lifespan of about 1 to 5 years, a mission time of about 1 to 5 years. And after that, they can use the ion engines to deorbit and bring the satellite back down, and it will burn up in Earth's atmosphere. And apparently none of the parts will actually land on Earth. They should all combust within Earth's atmosphere.
That just for a second. Did you hear what he said? They have ion engines on them. Ion engines. All right. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
If the satellite completely malfunctions, then you can't make it deorbit and it has to come down naturally. If they are in their sort of low orbit, then it'll probably take anything from 1 to 5 years to drop and fall into Earth's atmosphere. Of course, the other issue with having so much stuff up in space is that there are going to be potential for collisions, and this has already happened. We saw in the news a couple of weeks ago that the European Space Agency sent a message to SpaceX saying, look, we think we're on a collision course, our satellite and your satellite are on a potential collision course, and SpaceX risk actually started increasing, the probability started increasing, and it was reported that SpaceX basically refused to move their satellite out of the way because they stopped communicating with ESA. So eventually ESA moved their satellite out of the way, even though they've been in orbit far longer than the Starlink satellites. And then a spokesperson for SpaceX basically said that there was a bug in the system and they stopped receiving communications from the ESA. So, but it's an interesting point because there's nobody regulating this thing. Like, how do you decide who moves out the way? I mean, you'd think it would be the newcomers would have to move out of the way. So there's a lot of interesting talking points. And another thing that's not governed by anyone is the brightness of satellites. There's no laws against bright satellites. And when SpaceX launched the first batch of satellites, astronomers and SpaceX themselves were really surprised just how bright these things were. And eventually they put the satellites into a higher orbit, and because of that they dim and they fade. And now they're nowhere near as visible as they were just after the launch, but they are still visible, particularly in the twilight skies. You're not going to see them from a sort of light polluted area, but in a dark sky area, you can still see the satellites in higher orbits. And that's exactly what you just saw me doing. It was literally just before twilight, I could see the satellites going over. And, you know, if I was doing a time lapse or if I was doing some astrophotography, they would kind of ruin the images. And there was an image recently from Cerro Tololo Observatory in Chile, which went sort of viral in the astronomy and astrophotography community because they showed how the Starlink satellites basically ruined over 5 minutes of their observations, which, you know, time is extremely precious in these observations. Now, SpaceX have basically said in the next launch of 60 satellites, which is scheduled for about another week from the time that I'm making this video, one of the 60 satellites is going to have a sort of painted coating, a black coating on the underside of the satellite, which will hopefully stop it from reflecting the sunlight back towards Earth. But this is just a test. Whether they go ahead with the solution or not depends on whether the coating affects the thermal performance of the satellite. If the coating works and they stop reflecting the sunlight, it would be great for, you know, astrophotographers like myself with the wide-angle astrophotography, because hopefully they won't really turn up in the images. So there's a lot of interesting talking points going ahead, and the general reaction from the astronomy and astrophotography community has been, a lot of anger and a lot of worry, which is great. I think everyone needs to be very vocal about this issue. And there's a quote from Jonathan McDowell, who is from the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and he kind of sums it up perfectly for me. He said, "There's a point at which it makes ground-based astronomy impossible to do. I'm not saying Starlink is that point, but if you just don't worry about it and go another 10 years with more and more of these mega constellations, eventually you're going to come to a point where you can't do astronomy anymore. And so let's talk about it now." And this kind of just sums up the whole situation for me perfectly. We need to be very vocal about it. We need to continue being worried and angry, and there just needs to be good communication between the science community and these commercial companies. And we've just got to hope that these commercial companies have a sense of empathy and they, look to maintain our window to the universe and look after the night sky. But perhaps the one thing that's bothering me the most about this entire situation is that there's a lot of anger and people being vocal about this issue with the satellites, when there's already a way bigger issue that's been taking over our night sky for the past 100 years, and that is light pollution. And we have lost so much of the night sky to light pollution. It's continuing to get worse. It's increasing. The blue-rich LEDs that are replacing the old streetlights are incredibly impactful and detrimental to the night sky, also to wildlife and to human health. And I'm not going to go into it in depth because it could be a whole other video. And in fact, I did a recent talk for TEDx, and that should be online very soon, basically about the negative impacts of light pollution. So I'll put a link in the video description below once that finally comes out. I think it's coming out in the next few days. But yeah, I just kind of wish people were this vocal, this angry, and this upset with light pollution as they are with the satellite issue. Obviously, I'm quite, I'm very happy that people are very angry and upset about this satellite issue. But I think, I just wish people would show the same sort of passion towards light pollution, because it's just such a huge issue that is largely going unchecked, and it's just not receiving the attention that it deserves, especially when you see how the rest of the world is sort of slowly waking up and being more aware of all of the other forms of pollution. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Get in the comments box below. How much do these Starlink satellites bother you, or do you don't care? You find them quite cool to look at? Global internet is amazing. I don't know, get in the comments below. I'm really interested to see what you guys think about this, because I've seen a lot of polarization, let's say, both sides of the story online. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Anyway, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and you should check out some of my other astrophotography vlogs. And if you're going out to enjoy the night sky anytime soon, I wish you good luck and clear skies.
Sorry, that was my fault. I had the mic muted. Thank you much though for telling me. So now I got to start that all over again. Oh boy, ain't that something? I'm such a dummy. Okay, sorry about that. Well, anyway, uh, what I was saying was, um, Julie made the comment about why so many, and stuff, and yeah. Um, so what I was explaining was the fact that the reason why they wanted to do this in the first place was because there was a lot of places around the world, such as Africa and different other places, that don't have internet or can't get it or very, very limited to internet. So his idea is to send all these satellites up there, and he's going to sell you a small dish apparatus, which he's already got in the works to sell on the market. So you hook this dish up to your house just like you do with satellite TV, and you'll be able to connect the internet via satellite. That's what that's all about. Now, I don't know how fast of internet you'll get. I do know I heard somewhere, read a few pages on it where the monthly fee is going to be like between $80 to $100 to use this thing. And basically, he thinks, that they're just going to take over the internet and they're going to be the only one stop shop for everybody. Um, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think I'll ever hook up to it. I mean, it's going to have to be some majorly uh, ungodly type of deal for me to even think about it. Okay, uh, I just I just don't think that it's going to work out the way everybody thinks it is. You're going to have a lot of glitches in this system, especially right off the word go. Not to mention, just like your satellite dishes for your TV, you're going to have weather interference, no doubt about that. Solar flares, things of that nature, you're going to have major problems. So I just don't see how they're going to work around all this stuff, for the home person, the person at home, to be able to actually use this and not have many problems. I just don't see it happening. Um, Especially in the wintertime, different things like that. You're going to have to constantly keep it clean. Different things, or you're not going to have internet or a very glitchy internet anyway. So, I don't know uh, how it's all going to work out, but to me, it's just ridiculous to put that many satellites up there and stuff like that. Now, like I said, I did do some other research, and I got this paper here I wanted to read to you, which is quite the deal. So let me see if I can bring this up real quick. But it's just unbelievable what they got going on here. Okay. Let me get this full screen for you so everybody can see it. Alrighty. And we'll read this to you here real quick. Omar says, I think there's something more sinister to this than meets the eye. And he also says that I'm thinking they may use this system to emit a frequency on us to mess with our distortion. Yeah, very possible. Well, I tell you what, after I read this, you'll understand exactly where I'm coming from here. Let me bring Omar on. Oh, Omar's with us. Oh, no, he's not. Okay. All right. Let me read this real quick. SpaceX Starlink broadband service will begin in 2020. Now, this was actually wrote in October of 2019. Okay, so they actually started putting up their first satellites back in May, I think it was, or something of that nature. So anyway, um, let's see here. SpaceX, the private space flight company known for reusable rockets and a giant shiny starship, will begin offering its own satellite internet service in 2020. According to Space News, in fact, the Air Force is already testing it in planes. To build the service, SpaceX will have to launch up to 8 Falcon 9 rockets filled with the company's Starlink satellites. SpaceX President and Chief Operation Officer Gwynne Shotwell told Space News and other reporters this week at the 70th International Astronomical Convention in Washington. We'll continue to upgrade the network until mid to late next year, which is this year, 2020. They quoted Shotwell as saying during a media roundtable on Tuesday, October 22nd, we're hoping for 24 launches by the end of the year. And here's a video, of course, that they show you of the Starlink, which I'm not going to play right off right now. Then it goes on to say that SpaceX launched the first Starlink mission, a Falcon 9 carrying 60 satellites, on May 23rd to lay the foundation for a satellite constellation that will ultimately number in the tens of thousands. Another 60 are slated to launch next month. This week, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk used the Starlink system to send a tweet for the first time. Whoa, it worked, Musk wrote in the tweet on Tuesday. Musk used a Starlink terminal in his home to send the tweet. Eventually, Starlink customers will receive a box from SpaceX to access the network. Knowing Elon, he wants everything to be beautiful. So the user terminal will be beautiful. Musk has said SpaceX will need at least 400 Starlink satellites in orbit for minor broadband coverage and 800 satellites for moderate coverage. The initial Starlink plan called for a mega constellation of 12,000 satellites, and SpaceX recently filed paperwork with the International Telecommunication Union to launch another 30,000 satellites. The ITU is a United Nations agency that manages the global satellite radio frequency spectrum, amongst other things. Yeah. So that's over 40,000 when you really stop and do the math on it. Oh boy, that's a lot of satellites. Ultimately, SpaceX may not need so many satellites in orbit for global coverage, but having them available will allow SpaceX to use some satellites for customized service, Shotwell said, according to Space News. And you hear what he said? But having them available will allow SpaceX to use some satellites for customized service. So, what they're saying, it's not just for internet people. Okay. One of those potential customers may be the U.S. military. The U.S. Air Force is testing SpaceX Starlink technology in military aircraft under a program called Global Lightning. The project, which is part of a $28 million contract SpaceX won from the Pentagon last year. is testing encrypted military communications via Starlink terminals in a C-12 military transport aircraft. We are delivering high bandwidth into the cockpit of Air Force planes. SpaceX is not the only company pursuing satellite broadband service. The companies OneWeb, Telesat, and Amazon have announced plans for micro constellations of their own, but none as large as SpaceX Starlink network. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So there you go, folks. That's what that is. Pretty crazy. Jolene says, I wonder if his company has any connections with China. Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding? They're all going to get on board with this. It's just, a small piece of the pie right now. He's just getting this thing up and running and doing whatever. And he's telling everyday folks like us, oh, it's for internet. You'll be able to, do this and do that with it. Well, hello. Now, here's the thing that's really confusing to a lot of people, including myself, because, he talked about doing a tweet with it and stuff. Well, that's not really internet, is it? That's more like cellular than it is internet. At least that's my perspective on it. So I don't know what the deal is here. Is this going to give you better cell phone communication? Is it strictly for laptops, Wi-Fi's, this kind of thing, for your routers and different things like that? It doesn't make sense, when you read it and go through it, because he's talking about being for internet, but yet he says that he did a tweet with it. Well, you're not going to tweet just on the internet. Most tweets are done with your cell phone. So, I mean, I know you're connected to Google and stuff like that on your cell phone, but, that's not really an internet connection. That's more Wi-Fi, right? I mean, it's connected, I guess, basically to internet, but still, it's more to do with cell phone towers than it does with your router or whatever, right? Or am I wrong? I don't know. I'm not sure how the whole thing works, That's where it gets confusing. So here's what we got going. We got 5G network that everybody wants to put in and shove down our throats now. And now we got, will be 40,000 Starlink satellites that's going to be roaming around the earth. All right. And that's just one company. That's just Elon Musk's company. That doesn't include the other companies that want to do the same thing. So, what are they doing? They're crowding everything out up there. To me, it's just a bunch of BS. I think it's just going to screw up everything. They're all going to be pointing down. We don't know what these things are capable of as far as gigahertz and all that stuff pointing down on top of us. Is it going to screw up the magnetosphere? And the stratosphere and stuff like that? What effect is it going to have? I don't think anyone's done any of these studies. And mark my words, they get all these up there and turn them on. They may just destroy the earth with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? It could be weather changing. It could be all kind of crazy stuff going on. We just don't know, Will it screw up animals' homing mechanisms, such as, whales and things and birds and whatever? It's just very scary stuff as far as I'm concerned. I just don't get it, and why they're allowing this to happen. I don't know. I just don't understand it. So that's basically what I wanted to bring to you tonight and talk about, and get your guys' input and what you think. I think it's a sad situation. It's just we don't have a choice in the matter, because it's all about the big money people. They pretty much can do whatever the hell they want to do, and we don't have a say in it. So, but yeah, I'm a little upset about it. VJ says, isn't internet aerial for use of Bluetooth? We just need a device to receive it. Well, yeah, Bluetooth and that is a different deal altogether also, I think it's all connected myself. James says, bet it's got something to do with this 5G crap. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that a bit. It's got to, I just don't see it. Ready Lena Freeland's book, Space Fence Lockdown. Oh, cool. Yeah, and the thing is they're not really saying, or they're not telling people, what the whole truth is behind this deal and what it is. Obviously, like you heard me read that he's using it already for the military. So it's not just for home entertainment. They got other plans for this stuff. Uh, yeah. Is it going to be used to spy on people? Is it going to be used to do all of that stuff? Who the hell knows? It's just, it's crazy. Donald says, fear and loss of agency is gross. Clarence, let's kick this thing's ass and use this shaken kaleidoscope for our advantage. Yeah, no doubt, right? I definitely agree, Don. No doubt about it. Cool. Hello, James. How are you, sir? See, James comes in. He says hello. Cool. So yeah, I mean, what's the deal? Let me see something. I wanted to see. Now, if you noticed, in the one picture that the other guy showed you, I thought there was a picture on here with it. Let me look here real quick. Nope, that's not it. So let me see here. Hold on just a second, folks. I wanted to. Oh, here we go. This is just a few days ago. Let's see here. Let me see if I can share this. Once it quits loading up anyway, I'll share this real quick and read it to you. I'll share screen this real quick. Hello, Carrie. How are you? Good deal. Carrie's with us. Okay, let's see here if we can. This is what I was talking about here a few minutes ago before I shut my mic off. I hope you guys can read this. I don't know if you can or not. Okay, it says SpaceX got a key government license last week. Federal filings reveal as the company clears a regulatory hurdle that moves it closer to offering new high-speed internet service from space. The FCC has authorized SpaceX to begin rolling out as many as 1 million of the ground antenna the company will need to connect users to its Starlink satellite system. Starlink is SpaceX's plan to build an interconnected network or constellation of about 12,000 small satellites to provide high-speed internet to anywhere in the world. The company has launched 360 satellites in the last year. The license details that each ground antenna is 0.48 meters in diameter or just under 19 inches across. It looks like a UFO on a stick, Elon Musk said in an interview. It's very important that you don't need a specialist to install it. The goal is for just 2 instructions, and they can be done in either order. Point at the sky and plug it in. Skylink is intended for about 3% of the hardest to reach customers for telecommunication companies in rural areas where 5G is really not well suited, Musk said. SpaceX intends Starlink to have high-speed connection for any users with latency below 20 milliseconds. Wow. Starlink competitor OneWeb may face bankruptcy. OneWeb, a SoftBank-backed competitor of Starlink, is also in the middle of launching its own global satellite constellation. But Bloomberg reported on Thursday that OneWeb is considering filing for bankruptcy, with the report saying the company is facing a cash crunch. OneWeb has raised $3.4 billion to fund its satellite network, but CEO Adrian Stelick told CBNC in a February interview that the company is always raising money. We're constantly raising capital, Steckel said, just after the company's second launch. We're not being public about what we're raising. When the time comes, we'll make that announcement. SpaceX has likewise been steadily raising funds, including $500 million in a round this year. Musk noted in the March interview that there are 0 similar satellite efforts that didn't go bankrupt, referring to companies that fell short of building networks in the early 2000s. We just want to be in the non-bankrupt category. That's our goal, Musk added. Well, bully for him. So, yeah. Hey, Mr. Rob. I see Mr. Rob's with us. We're going to bring him in here. How we doing there, Mr. Rob?
Hello, Clarence. Doing very well. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, I'm actually outside smoking a cigarette right now, enjoying some fresh air for once. I don't know if that's COVID friendly, but that's what I'm doing.
I don't know either, my friend. I really don't know.
Excellent show so far. Excellent show, as per usual.
Thank you. Yeah, I just, except for turning my mic off there for a while, I mean,
I saw that. While I was eating dinner, I saw that.
That's okay.
I was like, he'll fix it.
Yeah, I just happened to look at the chat. Everybody says, we can't hear you, I'm like, oh, I did it again. Yeah, I got a habit of doing that. I shut it off during shows and stuff. And when I want to comment, I just turn it back on, and then I remute it. So if I bang the table or do something, you're not hearing it, And then I forget, I want to talk and I forget when I shut the show off, I start talking, I don't turn the mic on, So it's like,
that happens.
Yeah. But anyway.
So Starlink.
Yeah.
Oh, Starlink.
What do you think?
Well, my first question is, we've talked about what it is already, and what it is an upgrade from fiber optic cables to lasers. It's really transmitting information. One thing I saw earlier is that every satellite has to be in contact with 4 other satellites for it to work properly.
Right.
So, they're making a grid around the entire world. And with a lot of the conspiracy theorists saying that the New World Order is coming, one of my questions is, what is the ultimate function of this particular thing? I know it's for stock exchange and media update from 4G to 5G. Really, with the update from 4G to 5G is only a 17% difference. Well, in lucrative cash terms, 17% difference is a lot.
Right.
But 17% difference, and the rolling out of 5G, which is also on a lot of conspiracy theorists' lips right now, is that, the gigahertz wave is causing people to feel certain ways. So, what is the ultimate use? For me, like, what's their end game is my real question. That's what I've been, after I did a little bit of research today, I was thinking about that because, when they say that there's going to be a surveillance state and everybody is going to be under surveillance for what they say and a thought police and things like that, this could be one of the items that they're putting in place to roll it all out. It's a privately owned network. Yeah. But, there's ups and downs to that. This will also mean that the people in Africa that don't have internet access regularly are going to get that internet access. Right. And, there's a lot to it that there's so many sides. There's two sides to this. There's the good and the bad, like everything else. But, which side is going to weigh out in the end? Which side is it really playing for?
Right. Well, that's just it. A good question. My question is, excuse me, do we actually need this kind of technology? I mean, let's put it this way. How fast is fast enough for people?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, well, it's just not just the fastness, it's the cost. It would cost the world $150 billion to upgrade fiber optic cables.
Well,
and with Starlink, it's only $10 billion to upgrade from 4G to 5G. So the savings in money is a big object everywhere. We know this. We don't like to think about
Rob, it. Does this Starlink hook up to the 5G towers that they got going on now, or is this a separate thing? I mean, that's the way 5G, I'm understanding it, that 5G is only for cell phones.
Well, no. 5G, these specific Starlink satellites have their own type of platform that they use for an antenna.
Yeah, which it's like Qualcomm
Right. It could be mounted on vehicles. It could be mounted on airlines. It could be mounted to your house. It's a stop sign shaped flat object that's about this big, but it's wide. It's wide. But at the same time, so they can literally piggyback off of all of those little satellites to use. But it's not about towers. The whole thing is that they're eliminating towers because the satellites will be roaming as a grid over the entire world. So towers are not necessary. All you need is the receiver box to actually pick it up. So, switching it over from 5G to 4G is basically just hardware.
Well, a lot of these big cities, though, like Minneapolis, New York City, places like that, they're putting up 5G towers for people with cell phones. You got these 5G hotspots now,
Right.
Certain companies are, they're rolling out. But the thing is, in order to buy a phone to use it, the phone itself is $1,200 or more. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely right.
What Elon Musk is doing with these satellites, this is basically for home computers. This is basically for, you're going to hook up a dish like you do just for your TV, right? And that's how it's going to work. That's just like let's say Dish Network. All right, same kind of thing, except it's solely for internet. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Now you'll be able to use that to watch like my Roku TV and stuff like that with it, whatever. But I mean, I'm hardwired in, so I don't know if I really need that kind of deal, I just don't see it. Plus the problems I think they're going to have with it, with weather, solar flares, collisions with other satellites. I mean, come on, what's going to stop them from going off course and crashing into other things,
They actually have a system that they put in place that's a functionality of it that actually, I forget what the name of it's called, but it's an interceptor of sorts, and it views the world around it. And what they also have an ion drive that's powering the satellite itself. So by having this, they say that the interception, basically what happens is when if they're going to hit each other, they have plates on it that are like sensors. and they use the sensors to mitigate how far they are from something, and to mitigate and bring down the collision to I think it's 17% chance. But the other part that they did to it was these satellites cost $300,000 a piece to make. Once they enter the Earth's atmosphere, if they do collide, once they enter the Earth's atmosphere, they'll burn up, except for the ion drive.
Right.
So it's safe for people that are on the ground. But the other part of that is that with the lasers, that's also the reason why they're in contact with 4 other satellites around them. First, for positioning. Second, to make sure that they don't collide with each other. And it so happened that they do. There's 4 other satellites around it with the same information. So there's a lot of fail safes involved. The one thing that gets me so far is that I think they have close to 6,000 already out there.
Right.
Okay. Because they did 6 missions at 60 apiece. So it's actually, 360 that are out there.
Right.
What's happening is these are test satellites. So the functionality of it is at 30%. What's the other 70% functionality for these satellites?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
What does it consist of? What exactly can it do? What does it do?
Yeah.
And only Elon Musk knows that, and his engineers really. But so there's a lot more questions than answers right now. It's a very experimental system, which is good, but which is bad too, because like I said, if they really wanted to know your every word, they could literally pick up on microphones and cell phones.
Well, it's already a proven fact that they can, every app that you put on your phone that you allow already has capabilities of listening to you, taking pictures without you knowing it, tracking your email, tracking your messages, tracking every phone call. You know what I'm saying? That's already a proven fact. And that's without these things. You know what I'm saying? So
well, let's think about it from this standpoint. That's like the FBI and the CIA monitor that. This is
absolutely they do.
This is a private organization monitoring that. So what exactly? They could be running black ops for anybody, any country, not just the United States. The one thing that's a positive out of this whole thing is that in their first 2 years, they estimate that they're going to make somewhere between $30 and $50 billion. After it only costs, that's revenue, and what they're doing is they're going to pump that stuff, that cash revenue into NASA to create better shuttles and more technologies to basically to go to Mars and the Moon and make habitable space stations there.
But see, that's not going through NASA though, Rob, because Elon Musk is the one that owns SpaceX. He's the one that's going to Mars.
Well, yes, but he has an FCC contract. So what he has to do with that revenue is it will go into NASA for technologies, because once he has those NASA-approved sites on Mars, he'll be able to send his rockets there. So there's an end game to it. Yeah. Without NASA's approval, he'll never be able to colonize any of those places.
You don't think so?
No, absolutely not. The moon is a United States territory.
You think so?
Absolutely. That's why they planted their flag on it.
Yeah.
The moon is controlled by the United States government.
Well, I just don't see.
On the moon unless they say so.
Yeah. See, I just don't see how they can stop him. I mean, if he wants to fly to the moon himself, I don't see how they can stop him from doing that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Well, they can't, but he can't land it. When he comes back, he'll be a criminal.
You think so? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. That's just like when the explorers used to go to different countries that were inhabited by Native Americans, and they would plant their flag there. Same aspect. It's just like a colony. That's why they call it the Moon Colony, because it's an extension of the United States.
Wow. Dave Rooker says, let's see here. He says, I don't have a huge problem with adding the satellites. Maybe you will convince me otherwise, but there are benefits, not all negative. Well, and this is true, Dave, and you're absolutely right. My whole problem is with it is the fact that they're just going to clutter up the freaking night sky. That's my problem with it. And when it comes to photography and using my telescope and stuff like that, it's just going to be a big pain in the ass. I mean, that's my opinion,
Right.
I won't know until it actually happens and, whatever. But as you noticed, like in that one show I showed you with the one photographer, he actually showed a picture of, and there's only 360 satellites where they're already streaking through the pictures as it is.
Right.
Can you imagine 40,000 of them up there? I mean, it's, astrophotography might as well, it's going to be null and voided. You won't be able to do it no more.
Well, how much is too much?
Well,
how
that's
much
what
is
I'm
too
saying.
Much clutter
right?
up there, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
what about the facts of it interfering with, like, FBI satellites and surveillance? You're right. But see, there's two different. What they're trying to do is they're going to start at a specific orbit, which is a lot closer than a lot of those satellites, and then they're going to
in between. Yeah, and that's the thing. See, it's in between. Or say like you got Dish Network satellite up there right now, right? And the other one that it almost crashed into was the weather satellite that looks down and looks at all the weather. That's the one they had to move out of the way because Elon Musk and them couldn't communicate. Right. So, yeah.
it becomes an issue at that point. It really does. Who's got the right of way? Who's got the right of way up there? Do we really know who's got the right of way?
That's what I'm saying. So if he's got 40,000 of these satellites up there, then who takes over? I mean, seriously, who has the right of way? Yeah,
nobody. I mean, it's space. That's the thing. But see, over certain areas, I don't know how far. Like when they say it's like a no-fly zone,
right?
For like the military, how high up does that actually go? Like how far is that no-fly zone? Do we know, or because let's say it's in orbit around the United States, but it's 60 kilometers above Earth's atmosphere. Is that still a no-fly zone? Does that still work?
It's got to be. Well, it's got to be higher than the International Space Station and lower than the other satellites. So it's got to be in between.
Right.
The other ones, which means in retrospect, he's going to be blocking everybody else out. When you stop and think about it.
Now, is that a plan to take over all technological?
That's what I'm wondering. That's exactly what I'm wondering. Is it going to be, will all these other satellites be null and voided? And what's going to happen with Russia, China, and the rest of these guys that all have satellites up there? Well,
that's it. Let's just say that the 70% functionality ends up being like a military weapon, and they can wipe a city off the face of the earth in seconds.
They got Space Force.
Exactly. They've got 70 satellites literally going over this area. That what happens then? What happens? There's so much. There's so many more questions than there are answers right now. Right now they're just testing it all, but at the same time, like, what's too far? Who's to say who goes too far and who doesn't? There is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The man with the most money gets his way. I mean, Omar says
that's what's happening.
Omar says this is looking more like Skynet. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
exactly. Is this the rise of the Terminators? Is that what we're looking at right now?
Exactly. Yeah. James says Elon Musk may be a great addition to security. Naturally, we will never know of the capacity or how far this will go as far as scanning in on individuals' privacy, but how far are we willing to let security protect us? I enjoy my privacy, but enjoy my freedom more. Absolutely. I have to agree with that. Absolutely.
Well, that's what's happening every day with this whole coronavirus. You're giving up all types of liberties for security. Just the same with the Patriot Act and the rest of it.
Right.
Literally, it's being taken away without your knowledge, without you even coming to the table and saying what you want, because elected officials are literally in a cabal to take whatever they want, whenever they want.
Yeah.
It's just like the people with the coronavirus care package that they were doing. In that bill, some of the Democratic people, or the people who support democracy, wanted a pay raise. It's not about giving you more money. It's about helping people that are in need from the coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly.
So why should you get more money?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's what it comes down to. It's all about money. And Elon Musk has enough money for days, so he will get a lot of what he wants.
Oh, absolutely. Omar says 40,000 number just doesn't sound right. What about launching spacecraft? Yeah, and I was going to bring that up. what happens now when they want to actually fly to the moon or bring astronauts back and forth from the ISS? Are they going to run into these damn things, or are they going to be higher than that? Or, I mean, what's the deal? How are they going to do that pattern?
They'd have to pass through they would have to pass through their network, because
absolutely.
they're not far enough they're not even really in the outer Earth's orbit. They're in inner Earth's orbit. So to get to orbit, you would have to pass through their network.
Yeah.
But I mean, they probably have a lot of control over, like, let's say they wanted to isolate 60 satellites and move them away for, departure from Earth. But let's just say that we start having spacecraft that goes up to the stars, and we can travel as like a public kind of thing, not like a private NASA thing, but like actual spacecraft. You take off from your house and go to a different planet.
Mm-hmm.
It'll literally be like a covering to the whole Earth that you would have to go up to into the North Pole, because I believe it stops right around the upper edges of Canada. It doesn't do Antarctica or the Arctic Circle Antarctica.
Right, because you can't. It's the North and the South poles you can't cover.
Right.
They're off limits, so you're not. Yeah, you're not allowed to do that. So basically, it's just like from the bottom edge up to the top edge, and then you got to leave them spaces on the bottom and top.
It's like if you're looking at a map that's laid out on a table, that's what's covered.
Basically, yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy.
James says also sounds like the U.S. government are also trying to restart the Star Wars program. Well, yeah, that's already been done. Yeah, we know that with the XR-37.
That's what they're looking. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they want.
Yeah,
really.
It's absolutely.
I mean, the revenue that's going to be driven from this thing is going to, if it does get pumped back into NASA, it will be exceptional. Yeah. They will have a lot of technological breakthrough with $30 billion going to NASA every year.
Mm-hmm.
And the main thing that they're promoting with this is stock market memberships. Yeah. So let's say you're in London and you're trading in the New York Stock Exchange, which is the biggest one in the world. You will literally have till almost the second, to the millisecond data that's changing, because thousands of dollars get shifted, millions of dollars get shifted every minute, every second,
right,
with that stock exchange. So that would be the premier people he's going to sell to at first.
Oh, sure.
But,
absolutely.
But the one promise that he made, though, is that it was not going to be just for those people. It was going to be for the everyday person too.
Well, that's just it. That's what he's hoping for, is that I think that the everyday person is going to buy enough of those dishes to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? That's what he's going to rely on, are people like you and I buying all these dishes up, and subscribing, because it's going to cost you $80 a month or more,
Mm-hmm.
for the subscription. All right. And, if half the world's population does that, forget about it, man. You ain't never got to worry about nothing.
No.
Everything will be paid for.
Think about it this way, too. If he's got enough money to plan missions to Mars, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have to worry about it now.
Well, no, absolutely. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, crazy.
But see, a rich man's going to get richer, which is always the case, Yeah. So what if he was really for the people, he would be giving it away for free just to increase those people who don't have the ability to access the internet like we do. Like me and you, we can access the internet all over the place. If you're in the middle of the Saharan desert trying to access the internet, you're not going to have any bars. They don't cover places like that. There's no reason to.
Right.
So what that does with overpopulation is it gives you areas that could be settled that wouldn't normally be settled.
Right.
Which that could help. There's a lot of humanitarian things that can be done with this specific device and with this program. So, I mean, but like you said, to what end is it going to be in that capacity, or is it going to be for the world elites to take over and monitor you literally when you wake up in the morning and turn your head to the left?
Yeah. And that's just it. And is it going to be a global hookup? Is everybody, from Russia and China and all of Europe and everybody, are they going to be allowed to hook up to this thing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or is it going to be just strictly U.S.? If
they have the satellites that they want, they're going to hook up everywhere.
Well, that's his intention, because he claimed that he wanted places like in Africa and that to have internet, right? So, in other words, he's going to have to sell these antennas all around the world. You know what I'm saying? In order for people to be able to hook up to it. Now, do you think Russia and China and that will get on board with that and let people hook up to that link? You know what I'm saying? Or
that's for their government to decide, and we have no control over what their government decides at all, which is really a problem.
Yeah.
But information is never fully free like we'd like it to be.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And that's just it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But I don't know. I just and if that's the case, and here's another thing I was just thinking about. Now, for us to get it, okay, we have to buy the dish and put it on our house, just like our TV, right? So what about these other big, huge conglomerates, like the military and stuff like that? You're not going to see all these little dishes. There must be some kind of a interconnection thing somewhere, where they can just, connect everybody at once. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, where their devices have to hook up to it too. He would have to give them complete access to the system, because that would be the new internet. It would literally be like the new internet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, to me, it's just, not only that, you're looking at 5G, and we all know the problems with 5G too, with the certain gigahertz, that frequency that makes people sick. It gives people cancer.
It's scary. I mean, it is to me, definitely scary. Hey, Mom, my mom's in. Hello, Mom.
Hi, Mrs. Mitchell.
James says Lockheed Martin already taking advice from aliens. This is another avenue product for the same association. Yeah, very well could be. Absolutely. He also says, good job making post 9/11 coronavirus link. VJ says, what gets me is that the development in outer space defense system is in itself an admission that there must be other beings out there to protect Earth from. Wow.
Well, that could very well be a thing too, is they've gotten some topside information that we don't know about.
Yeah. Omar says Musk is not for the people.
The antennas right now for Starlink are going to cost $200, $200 for the hookup.
Really?
Itself. Yep.
How much a month?
It doesn't say any kind of monthly fees or anything yet.
Wow.
It didn't say any of that. Now, they're testing the capabilities as of right now with the satellites that they have in orbit.
Yeah.
And we talked about revenue. So basically, cables that are fiber optic right now, they run at 43 millisecond delays.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, 59.95 millisecond delays. That's the fastest optic cable in the world, and it goes from New Jersey to the UK.
Right.
With using lasers as opposed to fiber optic cable, it'll bring it down to 43 milliseconds.
But how fast, like I said, how fast do you need? I mean, you're talking
looking at the stock market, you need it to the minute, or to the second, to the millisecond, because trends in the market change in seconds.
To me, it's ridiculous. What did they do with the stock market back in the 1960s, for Christ's sakes, when we didn't have internet? You know what I'm saying?
Telephones.
People
were on the telephone.
I'm not saying let's go backwards in time, but how much is enough? I mean, do you really need that information that quick? I mean, seriously, I'm just saying, I don't know. I just.
Me and you would say no, but somebody who's trading stocks and their livelihood is beneficial to have that kind of time would probably say yes. Yeah. But think about this. If the stock market crashes and they go into a new, different type of style of market, what good? Where's your profit revenue now?
Exactly. Jeremy says Musk want all to be included. Maybe we can We can Operation Air America net links to help them. I mean, he's got something that can be used to crack China. I think China, honestly, Jeremy, I think China and everybody's going to get on board with this. I really do. I got a funny feeling it's going to be a global shared network. I don't think it's going to be,
Well, if China's even still around by the time it gets going,
yeah,
with the way
that's
things
true
are
too.
going now,
Yeah, ain't that the truth? He says
China is not in a good spot.
10,000% behind Musk. But convince me otherwise, he says. Well, I'm not trying to convince people that we shouldn't use it or anything like that. All I'm saying is enough's enough, and I got a really bad feeling that we're going to wind up giving up certain things like astrophotography and stuff like that for him to be able to put this out there. That's all I'm saying. Don't make me give up something that I like doing just so you can make all your billions of freaking dollars. That's all I'm trying to say, Well, plus, we don't even know, we had no idea what it's going to do to the environment or anything. There was no case studies, nothing done on this. It was just take it or leave it. Here you go. I just don't think that's right. I really don't. I think it's wrong. But
let me ask you this question: if you could do your astrophotography from Mars, would you be okay with that? Would you relish in that fact? Because I would.
Oh, absolutely. If I could do it from Mars, sure.
So if this has potential to get us to Mars and terraforming or building space stations faster, you would be behind it.
To a point. I still want to be able to do it here on Earth.
Of course. This is the original spot. Of course.
I mean,
Of course.
I don't want to have to go to space to be able to take pictures. You know what I mean?
Of course. Everything has pros and cons, which we know is life. So really what we're discussing is the pros and cons right now to what this system would be. But it's not even probably made available to us yet. It's the only secret certain societies as of right now.
Right. And we're just peons here. All right. We're just people talking on a podcast about something that, we really don't know a whole lot about, but I just got a bad feeling about this whole deal. I really do.
Well, if they usher in 5G, I feel that there could be a lot of detrimental things to society. A lot of people are like, oh, 5G this, 5G that. 5G is bad.
It is bad. Absolutely.
It's a proven scientific fact that the gigahertz that they run at, what is it, 48 gigahertz or is it 68? I forget.
It's over 60, I think. I could be wrong. I'd have to look at it up, but
that's been known to have the same symptoms as the coronavirus, plus tremors, plus all types of ailments to your stomach. It's like in Cuba, when they sent the energy weapon into Cuba, into the ambassador's meeting, all those people got sick. That was the same exact gigahertz that they were using in 5G.
Yeah, right.
Same exact.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. That's a fact that they found frequency residual tone in that particular spot. So
that's crazy.
There's a lot wrong with it. There's a lot wrong with it.
Did you see where people are actually taking things in their own hand? They're knocking down towers and they're burning up. A dude took a tank. He took a tank and knocked these towers down with his own personal tank. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, yeah.
way to take it back. Way to take it back.
Crazy. Yeah.
There's exaggeration to this umpteen power. That's overdoing it.
Knocking towers down. Yeah. Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's like the guy with this coronavirus thing, right? Ship is over there in California, docked in the dock. Train. The damn engineer of the train thinks this whole thing is nothing but a hoax. And he drives the train literally to the end of the track through the barrier and tries to run it into the ship, the Mercy ship that's out there in the freaking dock. Of course, he didn't make it because the train's too heavy and it can only go so far. But yeah, he wanted to drive that train into the ship. What kind of nut jobs are we dealing with out here? I mean,
I don't know.
wow. What is
I'm
up
not
with
sure.
that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And James, just to answer your question, 5G is already being used as a weapon.
Yeah.
5G is already being used. Hence why we say to talk about the Cuba incident, because that's the same. It's just a concentrated beam of that frequency.
Yeah.
That frequency is detrimental to anybody's health. It's been known to make people mentally unstable as well, or people with mental
Well, that's
instability
where they came up
to go
with
over the edge.
that. What the hell was that? Radar? What do they call that with the sound thing there? They point at people for crowd control and stuff. What the hell was the name of that?
I don't remember exact name. It's like LARP or something like that. It's something different. I forget what it is, but that's exactly right. It kind of stems off the same technology.
Yep, exactly.
And not only that, MK Ultra was based off frequency change.
LRAD.
Which is when
LRAD.
LRAD. That's right.
Thank you, Julie. Julie said it. Yeah.
I said LARP. It was close.
Yeah, LRAD.
That's part of the MK Ultra. If you believe in MK Ultra, that's what they use to change people internally in their mind, is by changing frequencies for input and output of memory distortion and or schizophrenic being overcome by schizophrenia. Mm-hmm. So, these are secret programs that have been in operation for hundreds of years or 50 years with the U.S. government, but.
Okay, James, thank you. James got to go. He says he's losing his battery. Till next time, awesome subject. We'll be here tomorrow. We got tomorrow and Sunday, big show, a 2-day event, contact with Closer Encounters. So please, everybody, remind yourselves and, be here. But yeah, that's 12 o'clock Eastern. What's that?
I said, I'm super excited. It's going to be amazing.
Too. Yeah, we got some good guests coming on. Good
that's
host.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I've got questions, so I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Cool.
Like Omar says, I'm always skeptical until you convince me otherwise.
Exactly. Oh Lordy. So anyway, yeah. I don't know, dude. 40,000 satellites pointing down at us. I don't know.
Think about the weapons capability of 40,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, obviously he's not going to use them all just for internet, Well,
no, that's the whole comes back to the functionality of it. If you're only testing 30% of its functions right now, you really need to tell us what that 70% also is,
Yeah.
Like what is the 70% consist of? If it's all about the internet, first off, there's cyber warfare. Right off the bat, if you're talking about internet and connecting through lasers, there's the internet option. Then what about like the fact that it actually has lasers? That could be a big death ray. Like
absolutely, Space Force, buddy. That's what it's called.
7 satellites come together, refract the lasers off of each other, and then shoot one giant laser like the Death Star.
Yeah.
Where the 6 points on the Death Star come together, and that big green beam comes out of it. And blows up a planet.
Crazy, huh? James says, do you guys think that's because of the lockdown and schools shut down that this is the time it will be installed? Because if it does, my kids won't be going back to school in Wales, UK. That's a highly probable ordeal. Yeah, very probable, very possible. That's a good
I've heard from a few sources of mine that this 5G implication into schools is already passed. It's already done.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I'm sure they're going to do trial schools first, but this would be the most opportune time to install it into every school. I will guarantee once you go back to school, which it probably won't be till next year with the way things are looking right now, your school, or at least 80, my prediction is 80% of the schools will have it in it already.
Oh, I'm 80%. Sure. Yeah.
Clarence, you can quote me on that.
Yeah.
80%.
Jeremy says 5K is kind of stupid. It's pumping harder instead of using tech to solve problems. Yeah,
exactly
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Nikola Death Ray.
That's Tesla's death ray.
Yeah, exactly.
It could very well be. You never really know what.
Well, you don't know, and that's the thing. You can always speculate, and you can do all the talk we want and stuff, and we probably won't know until it all comes together. But it's just amazing to me how quickly and how crazy all this has gotten, just in the past year. It's just amazing. But yeah, people were taking videos and pictures of these things and saying, man, look at the UFOs. And I'm thinking, damn, there's just way too many of them. There's got to be something to it, And sure enough, it all finally came out that that's what it was SpaceX, And,
I remember when you first saw it, you posted it. You're like, what is this?
Exactly.
What am I looking? It was that line. You're like, what exactly is happening right now?
Yeah.
And I got excited. I was like, wow, really? Like, what is that? Clarence, tell me what that is.
Yeah. We had no idea.
And then we found out. But why would they launch it without telling people first? What's that all about?
And that's just it, Yeah. Nobody really knew about it. I mean, we knew that they were going to do something, but we didn't know exactly what it was,
Right.
So,
and I'm sure we'll never really know the full capability of those satellites either.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just
guarantee it. Guarantee it.
SpaceX, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Space 10. 10 times the things you don't know.
Space 10. One of the things they won't tell us about, BJ says. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the X is like algebra. It's a variable. It's a variable that they're not going to tell you.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, it's just crazy. I usually don't worry about too many things in life, as far as that goes. But this thing, I don't know. I just don't. I don't know.
You're thinking about it. That's total coverage.
It is total coverage. That's what I'm saying. It's not just globally. It's world. It's world. I mean, yeah.
Anything that's absolute, you should be afraid of.
Absolutely.
It's like in Star Wars, they say Siths only speak in absolutes.
Yeah.
Anything with absolute and totalitarian power, especially with surveillance, you should be skeptical. You should be a skeptic of all of it. Because you never really, like I said, you never really know what their intentions are. You never really know. And you won't until it's already too late.
I don't know. I just worry about weather changing, atmospheric changes, stuff like that. You can't tell me with all that up there that something isn't going to change. There's no way you're going to convince me of that. I'm sorry.
Let's say those satellites can actually change weather patterns. Let's say that they can cause droughts in places that were like the heartland of the United States that produces all of our dairy and all of our grains. So what are they going to do next? They're going to implement GMOs that were created in a laboratory because everything else exactly. But they'll insist more on it because it's not susceptible to weather conditions. Yeah. There's so many downfalls that could come along with this that really, does anybody, even us, see the whole picture? We don't. The ramifications could be dire. Yeah. They could be dire. And it's disconcerting. It definitely is disconcerting.
Yeah.
If you have high anxiety,
knowing that the military is involved, and stuff. Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Especially if they're going to incorporate NASA. Elon Musk and NASA must have some kind of communication. Even if they're so against each other that they're not piggybacking off of each other.
Right.
It's like when you look at this TV show called The Expanse, right? There's the Earth like battle contingency and the Martian battle contingency. What if this is setting up that paradigm shift that makes Earth and the people who are privately owned into a different head-to-head competition that ultimately turns violent? Mm-hmm. Or sabotage each other's stuff. And now we're putting our life into these things and taking a side or staying neutral when eventually you won't be able to.
Well, check this out. I just had a thought. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But we got these drones, right, that we use in our military now. And it takes a person to sit there with his controller in this room, and they can fly these things for hundreds of miles and bombard someplace, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when they start linking these drones up with these satellites? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You won't need to be in a bunker anywhere. You won't need to, you know what I mean?
Right. What about missile defense?
Exactly. What about missile defense? You know,
What
certain
if
things like that.
what if
You
the
know?
Chinese pay off Elon Musk and he's now our new defensive grid to measuring when and how these missiles are coming in, and he just happens to
Yeah.
overlook something because he was paid off.
Yeah. Crazy.
That could start a nuclear revolution. Dystopia. It's all about dystopia.
I don't
So
know.
it's all about it. And we're getting closer and closer, but we just need to be on the forefront of this battle line,
well,
that's for sure.
You know, we can speculate and we can talk about this or that and whatever and whatever, but it's just, I don't know. You know, it's like the guy in the video said, now's the time to talk about it, because eventually in 10 years,
It'll be
it's
too
over.
late.
Yeah,
It'll be
it's
too late.
over with, you know. So, yeah, I think people need more answers, you know.
Well, we need to be disclosed on what's the capabilities to come to those answers. Without full information, how do you make a real educated guess?
Well, you don't. That's just it.
You don't.
You know.
You really can't. And that's the worst part, is you really have no idea what the capabilities are. So you can't even begin to fathom what outcome is which, or what, you know, there's so much not like unknown, which is everybody in life has a lot of unknown stuff.
Right.
But this is worse because it's encapsulating the entire world.
Yeah.
And we just don't know. And hopefully us talking about it now gives people a little bit more credence to look further into it. I know I definitely am going to keep an eye on it now after doing my research today, you know? So who knows? Who really knows?
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of the information I got is just statistics.
Jeremy says, do you think the atmosphere changes when air travel decreases? Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. Pollutants coming from planes is that, and they can drop shit on you from far above, but
yep.
You know.
And that's another thing too, you know. I mean, you know, we talked about this, you know, like trying to get off from Earth to shoot a rocket to the moon or something like that. What's going to happen when you get meteorite strikes and asteroids and stuff coming in and whacking these things out of the sky? And you know what I'm saying?
Well,
I don't know.
That could be used to deter them. If you send enough of those satellites to bump into it, it might miss Earth.
You know.
But who knows? You know, that's if it's being.
It depends on the power. It depends on what they do and you know what capability they have. I guess you know. I don't know. I mean,
so going back to that, you really have to look at Elon Musk and what he's all about.
Yeah.
Is he here to help society, or is he here to hinder society? Is he like, you know, the Nikola Tesla of the space race, or is he just a man who's an entrepreneur trying to make more and more money than he already has more than any one man should be willed? But, you know, greedy people never cease. They just keep going until the world dries up.
I just got a bad deal. I mean, I don't know. I feel
the same way. I don't feel that this is going to be in cooperation with humanity at all.
I don't think so. I just don't see it. Yeah, I just don't see it. People might like it and stuff when it first comes out because it's super fast and it does all this stuff, but I'm scared to death about what they're pointing down on top of us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's no different than our direct TVs or our dish networks that we got right now, but that's only TV. I mean, it's not, you know what I'm saying?
Right. It's still polluting.
Yeah, absolutely. But what are these things going to do when you got 40,000 of them? You know what I mean?
It's a major change to what's going on. You know, what's actually out there.
Why so many? See, and that's another thing is why so freaking many? You know, take Direct TV or Dish Network, for instance, right? And this is just statistically, they only have maybe 100 satellites in the air that covers the whole freaking world, right?
True, but how many times do you lose signal with those specific companies?
Well, that's what I was saying with weather and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously. But that's only 100 satellites. You know what I'm saying? Why 40,000 for internet? It
Total
just doesn't,
encapsulation.
it just doesn't cut it.
Total dominance. That's
Dude,
what it is.
you can dominate it with 200 satellites.
You could.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
40,000? You know how big a number that is? I mean, seriously, think about it,
They could literally block out the sun for an entire region for, I don't know, however long they wanted to stay there, really.
Yeah.
Which could also be another way. That could be, environmental terrorism.
I don't know. See, that's what I'm saying. I just don't know. It's crazy. Jeremy says, or what about these sunbursts from sun hitting the sats? Yeah, see, James, and that's what I was saying earlier about the sunburst and meteorites and different things. Yeah, same thing. Dave wants to know, how will they be repaired or replaced? Eventually they will break down. Yeah, basically what they're saying is once they got these 40,000 up there, so when they do start breaking down within 5 years, is what they're saying, they're just going to fall out of the sky and the next one's going to take its place. Yep. So they're going to have all these extra satellites up there basically doing nothing. But if they're doing nothing and you got 5 years worth on this one, how many in 5 years? 160 at a time? 200 at a time at a 5 year? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
How many in a year? So, okay, you're doing 2 rockets of 60 every 2 weeks. So in 5 years from now, are we going to have 2 rockets of 60 falling out of the sky every 2 weeks? You see what I'm saying?
The fact of the matter is that they all burn up except for the ion drive, which is probably the worst part to fall to the earth.
Absolutely.
That's what will explode.
Ion drives.
Right.
Yeah. Crazy. You know how nasty ions are?
Oh, it's horrible.
It is. Think about that. And that's what I was saying earlier. We were going to talk about the ion rocket, the ion. Why in the hell are they using that?
Because it's basically a money thing. Ion rockets consist of usually it's xenon that they put in the ion rockets, but they're actually going to use krypton because krypton is a lot more accessible and a lot cheaper to use. So they can run this ion drive off of a krypton element, which is, I think, number 36 on the periodic table of elements, which means that it is in abundance on this planet.
Right.
So xenon is a lot harder to find and a lot harder to produce.
Thomas says all those satellites are weaponized, ? Yeah. Who knows?
Very well could be.
Who the hell
Very
knows?
well could be.
With that many satellites? Shit. Jeremy says, good news. The Carrington event from 1859 is due again.
Sure is. Sure is.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He's not kidding either. That could be very well in a year from now. That can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have enough room up there
now.
Yeah.
Now would be a good time for it to happen with all this other crap going on. You know?
Right.
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy.
But that's the other thing, too, like we were talking about. If they do have 40,000 satellites, they can't have any commitment to any one particular state or government. Can't happen. It could be used for such dark ways that they can't allow that.
Exactly.
They can't allow them.
I don't know, bro. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I just, I just thought it'd be a good subject tonight to talk about, and you know what I mean? Bring it to people's attention and see what they think,
Of course.
But
what else is on your mind tonight, Clarence? What else are you thinking about besides the Starlinks?
Well, that's just it, basically, other than, we got the big show tomorrow. So that's, I'm hyped up for that.
I'm super amped up. Super amped.
Absolutely.
And you tell everybody they will be seeing me as well tomorrow and the next day at some point. Who knows when, but I will be there.
Yes.
I will be taking part.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention a whole bunch of names on our guests, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guests, 7 guests for the weekend. Plus we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 hosts. So yeah, we got a pretty good lineup, no doubt about it.
We got questions and answers, everybody.
Yes,
questions
we do.
and
Absolutely. So
we are not going to leave you hanging. It's going to be spectacular. All of the people that are coming through are super enlightened and super studious to the facts of their particular encounters, and it's going to give you goosebumps when you hear some of their tales. That's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's for sure. It's going to be an amazing event.
Now, some of these people you will know, some of them you don't know. So I'll just tell you that also.
Not only that many collective minds being a part of an event, it's going to be so eclectic and such a good base of knowledge of the types of things that we speak about that it's literally going to keep you in awe for the entire time.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
I know so.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm just going to let people know I'm privy to some of the guests, so I will tell you that. I will tell you it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Something you look back on and say, I'm glad I was a part of that. I know I'm already feeling that way.
Yep.
Because my show isn't off the ground yet, but my radio chops and podcast chops are getting much bigger every time I come on. So
there you go. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
BJ says her battery's going dead and she will say good night, wishing all to stay safe and be careful till next time. Thank you, VJ. Thank you.
Good night, VJ. Always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Dave asks, whatever happened to that man who claimed he was a prince? Ramirez has 6 years of documents about Alexander he's talking about.
Geez.
I haven't heard from him since our little escapade we had. Yeah. I haven't heard a word from him or anything. I thought maybe he would get a hold of me or something, and not a word. So sad state of affairs, but that's what happens.
It is, but at the same time, I believe we're probably better off for it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. What can you say? Yeah,
nothing. It happened.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it happens. Things happen.
Water under the bridge.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And think about this too. If he really wants to get in contact to be a part of whatever he wants to be a part of, we'll always welcome people back with open arms. We don't hold any kind of grudges. So it's on him whether he wants to take part in any further shows or be in contact with any of us. It's, just because people have disagreements doesn't mean that we hate anybody or we're opposed.
I don't hate anybody. Yeah, I don't hate anybody or anything. It's just a sad state that, the way things turned out. That's all.
That's a fact.
I still don't understand what actually happened, but other than,
well, it doesn't matter. The other part of it is we try and teach positivity and put out positive things.
Yeah.
So sometimes when people get negative, it takes them time to evaluate their own self, and maybe it was a little bit of both of it. Like it was probably me too, and Omar, and you and him. Yeah. We all had a negative spot, and you can't change the way people feel, but we're not opposed to talking either. It's not like it is what it is. It is what it is.
Exactly.
I'm not going to fill in philosophical differences,
Exactly. And Thomas says my last author was a intellectual operative in Dark Fleet, and she infiltrated the Illyrian. So Illyrian Price.
Cool. Aristocracy.
Yeah. Solarian price is a legit thing. Well, okay, cool.
Something I did not know.
No, me either.
I'd like to hear more about all that stuff too. Whatever he's talking about. I don't know anything about it, so fill me up with information when you get a chance. Contact me any way from Facebook to Full Spectrum Universe, and I'd love to hear that story. Love to hear it.
Yeah. I don't know, my friend.
That's pretty much all we got.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Can only take this topic so far, I guess.
Yeah, I just did. Like I said, I wanted to do the show, show some videos, talk about a little bit and see what people thought, what their thoughts were on it. But we'll keep up on this and we'll see what happens. But the main thing was really I wanted people to see what they were looking at in the night sky when they saw these things. They're not UFOs; they are satellites. So you can rest assured you're not going crazy when you see them.
Kind of looked like an invasion at some point. You're like, wait a minute.
And that's what people were doing. It was scaring a lot of people, and a lot of people didn't know what they were looking at, And
right.
It was like, yeah, so crazy stuff. So
I see. Thomas said, "Let's do a show together anytime, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm ready for that interview. That sounds pretty tight, and I would love to be a part of it. That's for sure."
Yeah. Omar says, when you get knowledge to share it, regardless of how one feels. Absolutely. Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, Clarence, I will let you finish off the show. I just wanted to drop in and, give you a couple of tidbits on what I found today.
I'm glad you did. Thank you.
Some opinion, and I'm sure you'll probably wrap up soon. So, because tomorrow's a big day.
It is a big day. Yep, we got a long night.
Everybody knows where to find me at Full Spectrum Universe. Rob Yaxheimer. I'm always a part of the Ufology is My Religion page as well. Just give me a shout, and I'm here for everybody.
That's right.
I love all of you, and I'm with all of you always. And Clarence, you have a good night.
You do,
and everybody listening. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Absolutely. Till tomorrow.
Have a good night. You got it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, bud. Okay, folks. With that being said, it'd be a good time to close this thing out. But yeah, please be here Eastern time, 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock in the morning for all you Western people in British Columbia, of course. So, yeah. But anyway, I hope you guys got a little bit of something out of this tonight. We'll pick it back up again after this weekend. And, we got a few more things to talk about, as we go along. So just been doing some digging into other things and whatever, so we're going to bring more to you. So in the meantime, just stay safe out there, and, I just want everybody to kick back and relax and, love your neighbor, love your family, watch out for one another. This thing ain't ended yet. So, just be careful. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. And we'll definitely catch you tomorrow. We got the big weekend coming up. So, I want to thank you all for listening to Closer Encounters. Please remember to like, follow, and share. And until we meet again, keep your eyes to the skies. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Be here tomorrow.